I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to open the boxes and then you get all this stuff and you're like, okay, what do I need to sell it on eBay? Do I need to sell it on Facebook? Like, what I do with it? Do I need all this stuff? And then it's like, okay, now I want to organize this stuff and I want it to be in a specific way. I want to have a specific reason. And there's specific players. You know, I like this. I love this idea of having a pyramid system of players and how you kind of have a hierarchy. And I kind of do it like gold and silver. So I have like a gold is my top tier players and silver is my second tier players. And for my gold tier players, I'm willing to spend a little bit more money and I'm going to invest a little bit more in there. And silver players, I'm not going to spend as much, but I'll spend a little bit.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Shallow End. I'm Dave Schwartz, and the voice you just heard belongs to Aaron, who you might know on Instagram as 22 Sports Cards. We connected a couple of months ago, and I wanted to have Aaron on because I wanted to bring the conversation we were having through DMs into the light of the greater sports card hobby. We got to talking about what I like to call finite collecting. Now, what does that mean? It means collecting with an endpoint in mind, not just adding and adding and adding cards to your PC because you want a card and it looks interesting. It's about being deliberate, deciding, for example, as you're starting a new PC, how many cards you want of a player and which cards of a player. And then once you've got those cards, you're done. That part of your PC is locked. No wandering aimlessly through the hobby desert with no end in sight. Cards just indiscriminately piling up. One might call it collecting with a purpose. Collecting with a finish line in sight. If you want to connect with me on Instagram, I'm Iowa Dave Sports Cards. But now, let's start our conversation with Aaron at 22 Sports Cards. So today into the shallow end, we welcome Aaron, also known on Instagram as 22 Sports Cards. Aaron, how are you and welcome?
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy being on the shallow end with you guys and listen to the podcast on a consistent basis. And thanks for taking the time with me today. I appreciate it.
Really looking forward to it. And I think the listeners will hear in a bit the thing that we want to talk about. Before we get going into that, for those who maybe aren't familiar with you, who don't follow you or have not seen your stuff in the past, talk a bit about your past in collecting and what kind of stuff you collect.
I mean, my history is pretty similar to a lot of other people that are in the industry. You know, I started out as a young kid. My dad would take my brother and I to go to the local card shop here in kind of the Baltimore, D.C. area. I really have fond memories of going down after playing a sports game, either baseball or basketball or football when we were younger, and going down and open up some hobby packs. It was always on the low end, but kind of started collecting that way. My dad was big into sports, and my brother and I were too. So the big combination of kind of collecting plus also playing, it was kind of what we did for kind of the longest time. I kept on collecting a little bit into high school. Didn't really touch it that much in college. I played baseball in college. That took up a lot of my time in college. And then, you know, a couple years afterwards, I got back into it here and there, kind of dabbled here and there. And then pandemic hit like it hit for so many people. I found my box of cards, started digging through, got obsessed again, you know, got into breaks, lost some money, bought too many wax packs, all that type of stuff. Kind of learned my lessons, and I keep on going back to it from time to time. And now it's kind of a consistent part of, you know, it's really a big hobby for me. And I spend a lot of extra time, any extra time that I have, I really spend on, you know, looking at my eBay searches and checking out what's going on, checking out the sales, and you know, listen to podcasts like yours and a couple other big ones that I listen to all the time. And it's a nice chunk of my day. It's a nice way to kind of relax and get out of the craziness that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
That's the best, isn't it? Right?
It is.
You have in a day, and there are your cards just waiting for you without any judgment.
No judgment. I mean, I have a small little office in my basement. It's this tiny little office, but it's surrounded, and you can't see it. I wish I had it behind me, but surrounded by me is just cards, and I'll just come down here just to get away, 20, 30 minutes, open a couple packages, and it takes you different spot, takes you back to, when I was younger, opening boxes and packs with my dad and my brother, and reminiscing, thinking about, all the sports that I still love now.
So you mentioned that you're in the DC area. Your Instagram profile says that you're an Orioles fan. Makes sense. What a great time to be an Orioles fan.
Yes,
as well.
it is. Yes, for
so
sure.
Many young stars. But as we're talking, if someone is listening to this and can't see it, you are wearing a San Francisco 49ers hat. You recently picked up some pretty impressive San Francisco 49ers cards.
Thank you.
How does someone where you are end up being a 49ers fan when you've got the Ravens and the Commanders right there?
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense. So we grew up in Montgomery County, which is right outside of DC. So we were supposed to be Redskin fans. Supposed to be. So like all my buddies growing up were all Redskin fans, the majority of them. But my dad, for some reason, didn't want to be a Redskin fan, and this was in the 80s, and the Niners were really good. And he jumped on the bandwagon, and he brought my mom along, and my mom was a fan because she liked how Joe Montana looked. So it was a combination of my dad liking the fact that they were good, and my mom watching me watch sports because Joe Montana was nice to look at. And then all of a sudden, when me and my brother were born, we were just instant Niner fans from day one, and dedicated, and to down to the fact that my brother, even though he lives in Montgomery County, owns season tickets to the 49ers. So if I didn't have a couple kids, I would probably be with him as well. But we'll still, we still go to games. My brother and I go one game a year, and I'll talk about how that kind of relates back to my collection too. And we went to the Super Bowl last year, and we went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago as well. And it's just a part of our DNA now. And I'll always be a Niners fan. My daughters now are Niners fans. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. It's one of those things.
That's really the part of your collection that stands out to me. Like, you've got some really diverse things in your collection. You could tell that you can see the passion in your collection, the interest. There's just the fun, different things that you sprinkle in. But lately, you've got some heavy hitting 49ers cards that are popping up. I saw a George Kittle Prism Gold out of 10. Go Hawkeyes. Saw some other Prism Golds out as well. But the one that really stood out, and I want you to talk a little bit about it, is this Select Patrick Willis. I believe this was a 2013 Select Patrick Willis.
2013 Select. So yeah, the Niner stuff is definitely, when you look kind of at the end of the year, I'd like to evaluate and see, okay, where am I going to spend my money coming up next year? So I have a small amount of money that I put every month towards my collection. What am I going to really spend on? And I was able to kind of evaluate and see, hey, a lot of the stuff that I spent money on last year was Niners, and that's kind of where my love is now. Like, I'm still an Orioles fan, but like the Niners are really where my heart is. Football is really where my heart is, as well. So the Select Gold Willis, that was a tough thing to find. So these 2013 Select Golds, I don't know if, and I'm sure you listen to Austin from Carlson Cards, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners do as well. I think he was the one that originally inspired me to do it, because he's starting this crazy collection with the golds. And as soon as I saw his golds, I was like, these are beautiful. And the fact that Niners are gold as well, it's a color match. This is it's a no-brainer. So having the Patrick Willis and the Frank Gore on the top of my want list for a couple of years now, and it's just, they're hard to find. It's just they're impossible to find. I know where I think 3 or 4 of the Willises are before I found the one. Luckily, I found the one on eBay that I bought, and then I know where a couple of the Gores are, but the people that have them don't want to get rid of them. It's just not. It's not going to happen. So it was actually an eBay. I got lucky on eBay, so I'm obsessed with eBay. I'm on eBay way too much. I know you talk about that as well. If I looked at the amount of hours I'm on that compared to anything else, that Instagram is so much more than anything else. So I was on eBay. This is a month or two ago, scrolling through like I usually am. Me and my wife are sitting down watching some TV, and I see it pops up, and it's at a decent price. And I'm like shaking about the price. I'm like, this can't be real. I'm like, I got to purchase. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about setting an offer. I'm not thinking about, I don't watch this. I'm like, I need to buy this thing. as quick as humanly possible. I didn't even care what the condition was. I didn't matter if it was scratched up or whatever. It did not matter. Like I needed this car. So I hit bin. I was like nervous, contemplating, is this going to go through? Is it going to go through? Is somebody else going to see this thing as I'm trying to purchase it? End up buying it, get in the mail. It's beautiful. It's up on my, let's see, for those that are on video. There it is.
Look at that.
So pretty. It actually is number 1 out of 10,
mm-hmm.
which is crazy. And the funny thing was when the person posted it, they said, and I didn't even read the description, but after I bought it, I read the description. It's like, oh, there are some minor scratches on the back. I'm like, I don't care, man. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I just wanted the card. So
you're not flipping it, right?
Yeah.
So you're not flipping it.
No, I'm not flipping it. I'm like, this is going to be with me forever. This is going to go down to my daughter, who's like my middle daughter's like a decent Niners fan. Like, she'll watch the games with me and all that type of stuff. I'm like, she's going to have in her collection one day. Yeah, it's a beauty, man. I was super excited to get that one.
Those are the craziest moments, right? You're sitting there and you're kind of like relaxing, and
yeah,
my wife's like, "Hey, Dave, we're talking about the kids and some future stuff." I'm like, "A card popped up. Shush!
I gotta go right now." And she's like, "No, you can't like talk to me for the next 30 seconds. Like, I need to make sure this thing goes through." And she's like,
Yeah.
"What happened? What happened?" I was like, "I got this card. I've been looking for so long." And she's like, I love my wife, but like she could care less about cards. She knows that I'm passionate about it, and she's as that much interested as she can be. The fact that her husband is passionate about it, but she's like over there, like, man, something wrong with you.
You're like, honey, hey, you're my only one of one.
You're my only
right
one.
now. I need this out of 10.
Right now, I need to buy this.
That's incredible. Moments like that are few and far between, so we just need to really enjoy those.
Yeah, exactly.
So one way and one reason I should say that we started talking a little bit online is mention this idea, and I think you brought it up first. This idea of kind of knowing where you're going when you have a collection, and for some people that just might mean I have a spreadsheet of 49,000 cards, right? I'm gonna try to fill them all out. But we started talking about it on a smaller scale. This idea of when you're starting something a little bit new, not just adding and adding and adding cards to it, but rather starting from the end, like going someplace new and thinking, I want to have a new lane for my PC, but before I even start it, I want to have some direction of where I'm going. So you were saying before we went on the air that a little while ago you started exploring a new side to your PC. So what was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to kind of have direction, especially now that I do have some disposable income and I can spend a little bit of money on this stuff. From a financial side, you want to know what you're spending money on, right? And I was kind of a couple of years ago, I was kind of all over the place. So I was like, I'm just spending money. And I know I like the stuff that I was buying, but I really have a direction. So I mean, finding that direction, I think, is super important. So like any collector out there, taking the time to really put together a list of like what you want and what you want to spend on that thing is super important. But the biggest thing that I think that we were talking about, this idea of putting together a solid binder about a specific goal in mind. And the one that I'm working on right now is just a 90s, 2000s basketball binder. And it's not high end. And it's really a way for me to take, like, I have a collection of a lot of basketball cards. Is to really focus on, okay, who are my favorite players during that time? And I'm going to pick 9 cards because they fit nice in the top loaded binder. And I'm going to do 9 cards for each player. And it turns out I end up doing like 18 cards for 2 of my favorite players, or 3 of my favorite players. But I've gotten through that, and it's been nice to just take out the cards that I've had before. They've been in this like cabinet for me that I haven't really been doing anything with it, and just kind of saying, okay, let's put it all together and let's finish it and let's be done with it. And as soon as I'm done with those 9 or 18 from the player, whatever it is, I'm going to sell the rest, and I'll just do a bulk lot, and I'll just sell the rest because they're not really doing anything good for me now. But the idea of like having like a finish in mind, I think, is important. This idea actually came from how I kind of started when I got back into kind of being more organized with everything. Is I decided, since I'm a big 49ers fan and I like this idea of rainbows, but I don't like the idea of there's like 25 million cards you can get for rainbows. So I decided to do a rainbow of 9 cards for one offensive player, and one defensive player every year for the 49ers. And I did it from 2012, which is the first year me and my brother went to our kind of first 49er game together. And we kind of, it's a yearly tradition that we go now from like then, which is 2012, all the way to now. So now at the end of every year, I kind of pick a player. I look at the stats, I think about the memories, and I pick who was my kind of offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, and then I'll do a rainbow from Prism or Optic or whatever, it doesn't matter, of that specific player. But that kind of finishes it for the year, which I think has that nice kind of ending to it, like we were talking about before.
Can you say more about what you mean by rainbow? I think some of us, when we hear about rainbow, especially Panini, that can become 30, 40, sometimes 50 cards or more.
Yes.
What do you mean by rainbow?
So by rainbow, I mean, I pick kind of 9 colors, 9 different variations of the card, and I have that in a binder for each of the players. So I'll look at the Prism Rainbow, which, like, you're right, it's like 30 to 40 sometimes if I'm looking at Prism. And I'm not focused as much about, I don't want to necessarily always get the golds. It would be nice to have golds in certain situations. I do have a couple golds, but they're so high end. I'm really more focused on finishing whatever it is. So I don't really care necessarily. I like to have at least like one color match. So one at least red color match. And then I just like to have kind of a variety. So you kind of see, I'm also like a design guy. So my wife is a web designer, or now she's a director of web designers, but she used to be a web designer. She used to be a graphic designer. I used to do a little bit of design here and there. So I like that aesthetic piece. So I like just to have that idea of they took one design, they made it 9 different times. So that kind of rainbow, as opposed to the whole entire crazy rainbow, which is like 70 or, could be 60 or 70 or 80. And, you got to get the finite, which is 101. And then you got the black shimmer, which is 101, all these crazy, but like, I just pick 9. And then they aren't necessarily the same. And again, it's different for everybody. Some people that might not make sense of, hey, I want to have every 9 the same. But I like to have, I guess this kind of just works for me with how I do my binders.
I love this idea. So for each of the years, let's say 2017, 2019, whatever, you look back on your Niners for that year, who was great, who was good, who was memorable.
Yeah.
And then you look at, say, 9 of different parallels that came out of that set,
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And you think, I'm making this up. Like, oh, I really love this red donut, but boy, this giraffe skin was ridiculous. So you put that one aside.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for that year, it is aesthetically driven, but also player driven. Is that right?
It's more player driven than aesthetically driven. So it's this idea of who would I pick for the year. So like, last year was for the Niners was Purdy. Like Purdy was the offensive player of the year for me. I know Christian McCaffrey had a great year, but in my mind, it was still Purdy because of how he kind of was coming out here. Right. So he was the best player in my mind. So then he would be the guy that, okay, I'm going to do a rainbow. I'm going to do 9 cards from, and it doesn't matter to me. It could be select. It could be optic. It could be, it could be prestige. Like I did a prestige one for Warner, I think it was the last year. So then I'll find 9 cards, and that takes time too. So like save search on eBay, prestige 2023, Fred Warner stuff comes up here and there. I see what I like, pick it out. If there's a couple colors I definitely want to go after, those. And then that kind of finishes it for the year, and then I can move on to the next year. But it was nice for me to kind of go back and think about, okay, I'm a big Patrick Willis, Vernon Davis, Frank Gore fan. So it's like, okay, Michael Crabtree, like all those guys, thinking back to, okay, when did they have the best stats? When did they have the best years? How can I tie this back to a memory that I had with me and my brother when we went to watch games together? Because this is like kind of our thing, like we've kind of taken the reins from my dad. And it's like, this is our thing. This is what we do. It's who we are. It's how me and my brother stay connected on a lot of things. It's through football and through the Niners. And how can I continue to build that around that kind of mentality?
Isn't it amazing sort of the post-career life that Frank Gore has had? Right. I don't think we really appreciated him while he was there. He kind of reminds me, I'm going to be far afield for a minute, but he reminds me of like the football equivalent of Jimmy Carter, right? Where Jimmy Carter was president. He was there. He was gone. We didn't appreciate him. And he has this incredible post-presidential life. And he dies. Everybody remembers him. But like, boy, he did some things, right? He was about peace. And he was about negotiation and calmness, right? Frank Gore, fantastic Niner,
the Colts, with so many other teams as he bounced around. His career just kept going and
going.
going.
Yeah.
Right. And then you look back and think, do we not appreciate him the way that we should have? But it sounds like he's such an integral part of what you're trying to put together.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big. If you're a Niners fan, you're a Frank Gore fan. Actually, it's funny. Me and my brother, when we go to games, we figured out where the Niners stay. So we try to stay in the same hotel as them. So we'll see them walking around. It's a little stalkerish, but like it's pretty cool because all of a sudden you'll see Fred Warner's walking, right by you, right? And we don't try to bother them. Kids are around trying to get autographs and stuff, but it's just kind of cool to be in the same atmosphere. So this past game, that I went to see him play a couple months ago, I'm sitting down, I go grab a drink for me and my brother at the bar, and I look across the way. Who's it? It's Frank Gore. Just sitting there. He's just hanging out, having a drink, and I'm like, should I go talk to him? Should I buy him a drink? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to bother him. But I'm like, he's just hanging out. I actually had an opportunity I got an autograph from him. I had him autograph one of the cards that I had, and it was kind of a meet and greet a couple years back. Super nice guy. He's from Miami. My cousin actually went to the same school as him in Miami, so we talked for a couple minutes. Super friendly and nice. And again, I think is he number 3 all time? I should know this.
3 or 4.
He's 3 or 4 all time. Yeah, he's in 49ers hearts. Like he's the guy. I remember all those years with Alex Smith, when Alex Smith was coming up, and we had a horrible offensive line, and he kept on getting killed over and over. And I'm like, just give the ball to Frank. Just let him run. That guy went through the ringer.
He did, and came out stronger with a hell of a reputation.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing was how he got drafted too. I mean, at Miami, he had 2 ACL tears in either knee, so nobody wanted to touch him. And then he comes out and he ends up being one of the best running backs ever.
All right, I have sidetracked us with the Frank Gore talking.
Frank Gore, Jimmy Carter. I didn't know that conversation wasn't going to go down.
I didn't either. My wife was here; she'd be rolling her eyes at me right now, taking us off there. So I want to get back to this idea of the nine cards per year.
Yeah.
And that sounds like it was dictated more by the fact that there are 9 holders in a binder sheet.
That is correct.
Yeah.
100%.
Good. No, but that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll say, form follows function. But in this case, it's really kind of dictating what you're doing. But in a way, it's sort of almost, I would think, would be a bit of a blessing. If this was a 34 sheet for a binder, that'd be insane. But this way, it really makes you focus.
Yeah, I think the focus is really key, and that's when it comes down to the NBA, the new NBA one that I'm working on now. It's just like I needed structure. I had a whole bunch of cards from my favorite players in the NBA, but let's structure it out. Let's pick the best. Let's put those, make them look nice. Let's put them nice in a binder, and then let's kind of move on. But then like being able to thumb through it, it's cool to kind of remember all the years that I used to be collecting. And like, I'm not picking out the most expensive cards all the time. I'm picking out, the early Skybox cards that are super cool looking, even though they're probably worth 25 cents. Like, but it's the stuff that you remember from your past of pulling the cards out, messing around with them, trading them with friends and that type of stuff. That's what really matters. But I mean, I think structure is really the key because there's so many different directions you can go in this industry. Like you got to have structure to guide you in the right direction, and finding that structure is super important, but it's different for everybody. It's like, you got to find what's the best thing for you and what you need. Like what type of structure do you like to have when it comes to organizing your stuff?
Was this a learning process for you? Were there times where maybe that structure wasn't in place and you had to sort of build that?
Definitely. I mean, when I first got in, it was, let me just get back in. Let me buy stuff. And I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. I'm going to open some boxes and then you get all this stuff and you're like, okay, what do I need to sell it on eBay? Do I need to sell it on Facebook? Like what I do with it, do I need all this stuff? And then it's like, okay, now I want to organize this stuff and I want it to be in a specific way. I want to have a specific reason. And there's specific players, I like this. I love this idea of having a pyramid system of players and how you kind of have a hierarchy. And I kind of do it like gold and silver. So I have like a gold is my top tier players and silver is my second tier players. And for my gold tier players, I'm willing to spend a little bit more money and I'm going to invest a little bit more in there. And silver players, I'm not going to spend as much, but I'll spend a little bit on them. I won't have as many of the bigger cards on those silver players, but I still want to invest something significant, in them. So like having that kind of hierarchy. I'm a visual guy too. So I use an app called Trello, which is like an organization app for to-do lists. And I have like a list of all my players from top to bottom. So I know, okay, who's really, in my opinion, who's number one, all the way down to who's number, I think I have like 25 or 30 that are in that list. And then, okay, now I color code them. So I'll have like on the top, if they're gold, they're going to be in gold. If they're silver, then they're going to be in silver. And I'll kind of move guys around as they kind of become more important to me. Like I'm having an issue right now because Deebo Samuel just requested to have a trade, and he is in my like gold list. And I'm a big Deebo guy. I love how he plays, but like what's going to happen? Hopefully he doesn't get traded, but what's going to happen if he gets traded next year? I mean, is he going to jump down? And is he no longer going to be in my gold tier? Is now going to be in my silver tier? Like, how am I going to think about him? And it's a tough thing when you're still collecting current players, but it kind of goes with the territory, I guess.
Well, it's like you said, right? You're a visual person.
Yeah.
And I imagine you have it, you're looking at the rankings, you have the sort of the gold level and the silver level.
Yeah.
And just so you don't have to try to keep it all straight in your head. You can see it and think, no, this doesn't make sense. Let's move so-and-so up or move somebody else down.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Good. So who are some of the 90s basketball players now that you are targeting for this new binder project, which it's 9 cards per player. And so who are some of the players?
So I kind of went from kind of when I started watching basketball, like who's the first guy I remember really watching, and I tried to do it kind of chronologically. So I started the binder like all the way to the left, and the binder is the first player, and the first player for me was Larry Bird. So having 9 cards of his, Magic Johnson, Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, kind of the earlier phase into my actually favorite player growing up was D Brown. From the 1991 Slam Dunk Contest.
He had the Nike the pump, Reebok pumps.
He had the pumps,
right.
And then he did the one-handed dunk, and like that had me. I remember like I had D Brown jersey. I remember like I had his posters all over my wall. Like he was my guy, and he was like he wasn't the best player, like he was a dunker. Like he played well for the Celtics, and he moved around, I think, with the Raptors and a couple other teams. But like he was like my guy. So like I have a bunch of his stuff in there. I'm getting down into like more the 90s stuff now. So like AI, Kobe. And then what I want to do with that actually is this is a good way for me to transition into like current basketball. So like I don't have a basketball team. I should be a Wizards fan. But like it's tough to be a Wizards fan. I was never like a big NBA basketball fan, like for team wise. I was more of college. Like I was a Maryland basketball fan. Like my dad was a Maryland basketball fan. He wasn't as big of a Wizards fan. So I was more of an NBA guy jumping between different players and different teams, depending on usually who was playing well, where D Brown was, which is so weird to say, but that was my guy. So like I think this would be good for me transition to kind of, okay, I watch some NBA now. I'm interested in some guys. There's certain guys that I like to watch. Like I'm a big Giannis fan. I'm really interested to see what happens in LA with Luka and LeBron. It's like super intriguing to me. And then there's a couple other guys that I kind of want to get back into it, and I want to start collecting guys that I like to watch. And again, it's not going to be an expensive endeavor. I'm not going to probably spend more than maybe $5 or $10 maybe on a card from the 9 sheets. And I already have some of that stuff. So like it'd be a good way for me to kind of get back into the NBA as well and start to add to that binder after I get through kind of my list that I have so far.
So you might be familiar. There's a fantastic Jordan collector named Cajun Cardboard.
Yes, know him very well.
Yeah, great. Incredible stuff. And there's a certain culture among Jordan collectors where it gets competitive, where you want to have certain cards. There's the hierarchy. He's got a fascinating channel, and I watch his channel often. What's it like when you're putting together a binder where it doesn't really matter if you get a PMG red or anything like that? When you're putting together somebody like Jordan, you mentioned Jordan was on that list after D Brown, Bird, Magic, and then Jordan, of course. Since you are just putting these cards into binders, what are you looking for then when you are picking up a new Jordan card? How do you decide, I only have 9 spots. This is the most collected person in the hobby since Mantle. plus way more current cards. What makes you hit buy on a Jordan card?
I mean, I think it really comes down to the nostalgia for me in terms of, does it remind me of when I was collecting when I was a kid? And then does it remind me when I was watching Jordan when I was a kid? And that's kind of what it comes down to. It's more, is it the right shot? Is it the right picture of him? I think it's his 87. I got it up there. I'm not sure. It's like his all-star card from 87, I think, where he's flying through the air from the free throw line. Like, that's one that I have. It's actually a nicer card. It's like a grade 8 or something like that. And that's not going to go in the binder. That's going to be on my shelf. That's like a shelf card for me. But like, it's stuff like that where like I either remember being there, remember collecting and going through those cards, and that's going to make me select that. Because like you said, with Jordan, I mean, you can go into the thousands and thousands of cards, but like, that's not the focus. The more focus is to focus on, how can I go back to the binder and think about reliving kind of what I went through as a kid, what my mindset was like as a kid, the fact that I was looking up, my bedroom at a D Brown poster of him. Like, what is that going to make me feel that way as I flip through the binder, as opposed to a cost basis or getting the best of the best. That part just doesn't matter to me. I know it's tough, right? Like, I've been big on the gold side lately. And that's big from Stacking Slabs. Like, I ain't gonna lie, it's from him. Like, I listen to all of his stuff. I look at all of his stuff. I'm following him and all the people. Like, that's a big reason why I'm going after the gold stuff and the gold vinyl stuff, is because of his influence.
So are you someone who, like, when you jump from card to card or player to player, rather, do you get obsessed with that 9 pages? Like, I'm going to finish these 9 and move on to the next. Or can you have those empty slots in your different pages of the binder and you just kind of grab as you go? Because I'm someone who gets obsessed with a thing. I'm very much a monotasker and not necessarily a multitasker. Like, I would have a hard time moving on to Jordan until I'd finished my Magic page, for example. So how are you with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I think the NBA binder was pretty easy to finish some of the pages because I already had a lot of the cards, from when I was younger. So that part was a lot easier. We're like, going back to the NFL side, like, I don't get as obsessed with it because I feel like I want to focus more on, like, that's kind of something that keeps my day going and gives me a mail day. I'm not as focused on that stuff because I'm more focused on the bigger cards that are a little bit more expensive cards that I consider what I call my shelf cards. So what's going to go on my shelf? What am I going to be looking at when I come to my office? Like, I'm a little bit more focused on that, or let's say obsessed on that, as opposed to filling the binder out. Now, I will say, I had, like, in 2022, I hadn't finished my Warner Mosaic. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is Mosaic. It's a Mosaic Rainbow. My version of Rainbow is Mosaic 9 cards. It's Fred Warner. This is not expensive. Like, what's the problem? Why haven't I done this? And I was going through my NFL binder, and I'm like, I need to do this. So then I, like, in the matter of like 2 weeks, I just bought them all. Then I'm like, I need to finish this thing. And it was like 5 left or something, and it was, $50 or something. It wasn't crazy. And I was like, I just need to finish it. But usually it's nice, like, extra thing to have on eBay that I'm not as obsessed over. Now, I will say, I've tried to push this to my daughters as well. So my middle daughter is interested in the Niners. Like, she'll watch the games with me and actually pay attention. My other 2 are like, they could be here or there, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get them into collecting. And I've had them collect, or try to get them into a little bit more into Pokemon. So I bought them some Pokemon stuff. And I had this idea of, okay, let me translate this to my kids and say, okay, let's do a quote unquote rainbow for you guys. And I had them pick a player. I had them look through images of like 15 different designs, and I had them pick the design. I'm like, all right, now we're going to go after that player. And then I start to get mail days for them too. And it's a nice little bonding thing to do with them every couple of weeks or so. I'm like, all right, come on down. I got enough stuff. Let's go through. I got at least one for each kid. Anybody that has multiple kids knows, if you don't give one kid one thing and not give the other kid the other thing, or you're going to die. So I wait until I have enough, and then I bring them down. I'm like, okay, let's look, let's check out a mail day. And then we add stuff in the binders. And that's been nice as well. And it's also been nice for me to take some of my hobby money and give it back to my family, so to speak.
So as we're winding down here, let's bring it back to the Niners just a little bit. You got that amazing select Willis. You got the Debo. Maybe he sticks around. Maybe he doesn't. What are your, maybe top one or a couple of cards right now, Niners wise. I don't mean binder, but someone like the one that you wouldn't mind having in slabs. Who are you targeting at this point? And just maybe somebody listening can help you out.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is George Kittle, and he's another guy that you ask Niner fans. He's kind of like Gory. If you're a Niners fan, you're gonna like Kittle. Kittle holds a unique place in my heart because Kittle. So my dad passed away 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and he was a big Niners fan. It's why we all started. And we watched a game with him. The last game we watched, Kittle went completely off against the Saints. And I don't know if you remember it, but he had this crazy run down the sideline where he was just not letting anybody stop him. And he was just pushing people left and right. And it was the last game that I watched with my dad. And as soon as that happened, it was like, okay, I've always loved Kittle, but like now he's my guy. So I try to find, there's actually a couple specific photos. There's a flawless card that's probably down on my list. It's like a shot of him diving the end zone. It's actually in that specific game. I have a t-shirt that I actually made of that card, of him diving in that game. And then from then on, it's like Kittle's like, this is it. Like, this is my connection. This is how I can still stay connected to my dad, even though he's passed. And he's going to be the guy that I hope is with the Niners forever, and I know he wants to be. And he's the guy that I'm chasing. So the biggest thing that I'm chasing right now is the Kittle Prism gold vinyl run, which is super tough. I just lost out on a card that went for like $400 last night, raw from 2024, which I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I had some money, but I didn't have that much money spent on it. And I have two of his other, I have his 2023 and his 2019. I got really lucky with his 2019. Actually got it from Germany with a Facebook group, which I don't know if you guys are in a lot of Facebook groups, but if you're not in a Facebook group for your favorite team's card group, like you need to be, because that's like the place to be to get a lot of stuff and to connect with a lot of people. So that's the biggest thing that I'm looking for now is just other nice Kittle gold vinyls.
Excellent. So those of you listening out there, football collectors, if you have the George Kittles, find Aaron at 22 Sports Cards. Aaron, this is great. Good luck with the collecting. And thank you for sharing your process with us.
Sure. Now, I appreciate the time. I appreciate all the energy you put into, especially your 27 and 27. That was amazing set of episodes. If you guys haven't listened to that, please go check those out. Those were amazing. I appreciate all the content that you put out there, Dave.
Thanks, Aaron. Let's do this again sometime.
All right, see you.
My thanks to Aaron for sharing his approach to collecting. I loved hearing his methods and philosophy. Check him out at 22 Sports Cards on Instagram if you don't already. And thank you for sharing a few minutes of your day with me here on The Shallow End. We'll talk again soon. Until then, take care.